Greetings. It is good to be here. I think I am functional. We will see. We will see how this goes. This is my first attempt at streaming after my second vaccination shot, so keep our fingers crossed. Everything goes okay. I'm Jim, and we're playing Torment Tides of Numenera. And we're going to continue. I think we're good. I think we're good. So far, so good. It was a... yeah, the last couple of days, the side effects haven't been as bad as I was planning for. So, we're okay there. I am still mainlining Gatorade, you know, just in case. A sort of Gatorade. This is the zero variety. But, yeah, that had other liquids. And we shall see. We shall see how things go. I think I'm probably quite lucky that it hasn't been as bad as I was preparing for, because I'd heard horror stories about people having joint issues at the time that I am already having joint issues, even before getting any sort of shots. So we'll kind of see. But it looks like, you know, we're on day 3 now, so I'm pretty sure we're good. But you know. There will still be intermittent coughing because, you know, my lungs are my lungs and there's no escape from them. But that's got nothing to do with the shot, as it turns out. Not in my case, anyway. I'm going to click this button that says Continue. If an enemy is armored, change up the damage type of your attacks with abilities or ciphers to overcome it. Oh, right, yeah. Oh yeah, okay. I just I remember now. We just sent Rin back. I was distraught and had to send Rin back. This is my this is the point. This is the point in the game where I decide it's in order to avoid fighting a bunch of people, I'm going to have to act like a bastard, unfortunately. And so to some people at least, so that's gonna be a thing. But let's get this this bit started properly. I need to sell off some ciphers, I think, because I can't have everyone carrying around all of these ciphers right now. I need to hold on to some of them, but
yes.
I mean, yes. I mean, look. I am full up at this point. And you are full up. And you are full up. So, something's got to give, right? Barrel of Indomitability. I mean, this actually would not be is not a bad cipher for Eritis. Ring of El Amor. Yeah. A lot of it's going to come down to which of these am I actually going to use, which of these will I think to use, and I don't tend to use a lot of them. I use, like, these, you know, various other things, like, you know, the healing stuff more than I use actual ciphers. Which in the setting itself, they'd all be called ciphers, probably, to a certain extent. I don't know. Well, healing poultices and what have you, maybe that's its own thing. It's definitely its own thing in this game. Creates an immediate size slick of noxious acid. Heals 23 points of health. See, a lot of these are good. A lot of these are very good. But at the same time, it does become a question of what will I remember to use and what will I not remember to use. So that's a thing. Plus 45% on non-combat tasks. Holy crap. So we have a few different options here. Burning mouse. Good God, I forgot about that. Interesting. See, a lot of these are going to come in handy, I think, if I end up in conflict. I may not end up in conflict, I don't know, but it's good to have them on hand. There was a thing I needed to do here real quick, once again. Before I forget, we shall once again throw up the content warnings here. There we go. Just so we have that set. Let's come back down here. Okay. Still, I mean, I could, you know, attach a second bonded thing. I haven't done that. There are a lot of things I could just sell. I should probably sell the Scriptures of the Devourer. I don't know. And then, don't we have another, we have another mirror to look at. Another mirror caster to look at. And that's going to be a thing to consider because that's going to be a whole thing. You could conceivably sell these other mirrors if we're strapped for cash. We've used the transdimensional scalpel. But we could get it augmented. You see, things that we, I mean, I could sell this encephalon. I don't think we're going to need this encephalon. So there are a few things. A lot of these things I kind of want to hold on to. But you know, we'll see how things go. I've got 2,580 shins, so that should at least be helpful for the time being for various stuffs that we want to get. So yeah, so the question is, do we run around doing economic stuff like selling some things and buying some things, or do we go into the mirror and use the mirror caster to go into this mirror that we have not gone into yet? Or, I don't know that this is a third thing separately. We could, well, the third thing separately is, do we go back into the labyrinth now? If we go back into the labyrinth, we may, at that point, lose Eratus. After we finish talking to his people out there. I don't know if that, in there, I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But it could. Then there's a question of using the bronze sphere, because there's the whole Tybir thing, right? This fellow. I feel like we should go ahead and resolve that point. We could grab him, use him to start talking to people, because he's very good at it, or at least was, as I recall. And then trade him in. And then I think if we have time, then we'll go into the mirror. I feel like that's kind of where we want to lead next. We want to do those things before we go back into the labyrinth. I think that's what's going to happen. Let me see if I can get the sphere working, if it'll actually do any of the things that I've been thinking about trying to do. Just sort of go from there. The metallic edges of this engraved globe press into your palm. Interlocking spirals spin over its surface, pulling at your thoughts at places in your mind. Before your eyes, segments of the spirals rise from the sphere with whispering clicks, forming detailed sigils. Buttons. Okay. Cage. Button with the circle of interlocking hand mirrors. Pair of joined rings. Etched with falling towers. Tree. Light is faintly visible through the curves of the orb's inner spirals, but only just. You see flickers of movement within mechanisms, perhaps. Sure, let's do that again. The movement you spotted before is nowhere to be seen. Light sparkles off the razor innards of the sphere. Okay. Same thing, same thing. So, the cage sigil. You press the cage sigil with your thumb and hear Aligaren's voice in your head as though from a great distance. Doesn't make sense, he mutters, accompanied by a the clinking of tools. It's like this thing wants to be broken. Interesting. The sphere connects you to people you have met in the real world, and more than that, you sense at some instinctual level that it can transport them to you if you call them while pressing the button and they're willing to come. So we can call Aligaren. Let's touch the button with the circle of interlocking hand mirrors engraved upon it. You press the button with your thumb and instantly feel eyes, countless eyes outnumbering the stars, turn toward you, seeking your identity and your secrets. Castellage and her sisters. Yeah. Pair of joined rings. The button yields easily beneath your thumb. You hear Tybir's chuckle in your head. A large number of people seem to be panting, sighing, and moaning in his general vicinity. Alright. Press the button etched with falling towers. You brush your thumb over the button and feel someone's attention on you. From within your own head, it's and the creature knows you're thinking about it. Press the tree sigil. We need to stay in our head for now because we need to go back into the labyrinth and talk to him. That's kind of what we need to do. Tree sigil. The button depresses only slightly. You hear a brief shriek that sounds like Rin, then the button stubbornly rises again. Examining it more closely, you notice two small concentric circles lying at the foot of the tree. It looks suspiciously like Rin's god all. Suddenly, a flash of light forces you to shield your eyes. When you look again, the circles in the tree sigil are gone. This is because, Rin is no longer around at this point. Rin is in a different time, a different place. Okay, we're going to summon Tybir. Against our better judgment, we're summoning Tybir. And, we're probably going to end up getting rid of him at some point. But for now, we're going to use him to talk to people, and then, so we'll have our fourth. I'm trying to think, because eventually we're going to lose... We know we're at some point going to lose Eratus. So we're going to have to replace him at some point. And I feel like we're going to ultimately lose Matkina, but it might not be until close enough to the end of the story that it won't matter. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I'm thinking. Either way... ideally, we would end up still having enough people to form a party of 4. And the problem is, if we give up Tybir, we won't have that. Because Aligaren and Castellage are mutually exclusive. They will not stay with each other. We can only have one. So we could have we could ultimately have Tybir, we could have an Aligaren or Castellage. But if we give up Tybir, then that's not going to happen. We're only going to have a party of 3, which might be okay even just for ending the game. Anyway, let's go ahead and summon Tybir now. Sure, lad, Tybir says, seemingly at ease with the presence of a sudden voice in his head. Let me find my trousers and I'll be right there. Tybir abruptly appears beside you, wobbling on his feet a little. Put the orb away. There we are, we have Tybir now. I knew. He paces over a small patch of ground as though caged. I knew he was here, and that he was looking for me. I should have... He trails off and pulls the ring Dracogen gave him from his pocket. He cradles it in his palm and meets your eyes. Heartbeat, he says. They work by skin contact, see? I'd know if he was... He bites his lip and closes his fingers over the ring. I couldn't have. I was too scared of what he'd think of me, yes, but also of myself. Dracogen had the right of it, he says through his teeth. Auvigne and I were closer than close. The world stomped on us, but we survived it together, carried each other through wars and harder times. He looks away from you. We were arms of the same body, but with different minds, too different as it turns out. He takes a deep, shaking breath. I loved him, he says simply. We have to find him. I have to find him. I don't understand. Can't you use those rings to sense his mind and see where he is? Right, right, he says with a trembling laugh. You don't know what you're asking. Back in the good days, it'd be like holding hands, wrapping your fingers around theirs, right? With their thoughts and feelings instead of flesh and bone. He shakes his head. I need to concentrate, for one, and two, I'm not welcome there anymore. He made that clear. And I don't know that I disagree. We don't have time for this. We'll find him. It's going to be that gold tide again, isn't it? No, thank you, he says, nodding. I just want to talk to him, set a few things right, if that's still possible. He swallows and slips the ring onto his finger. What's happened between you and Auvigne, anyway? This isn't the time, Tybir says, but he glances up at you regardless. It was mutual, all right. As the time wore on, we wanted different things, and I wasn't willing to... He stops himself, sighs. Leave it. Let's just focus on finding him. Can you tell me anything? Not important now, he grunts. Let's focus on finding him. Let's talk about you. Sure. Tell me about some of the happy times you had with Auvigne. Gladly, he says softly. Truth to tell, it'd be good to get some of the memories off my chest and into the open air. He rubs the back of his neck. I've told you parts and pieces about him, not sure where to start. Were you and Auvigne together from the first battle you met? Oh no, our commander separated us after we got out of the brig. Tybir chuckles. He didn't want us planning more herd heists. I didn't see Auvigne for a handful of years after that, when we both landed in the only mercenary company that'd have us. He scratches his cheek. Yeah, you see, even mercenaries have rules, sell the company's weapons on the side, for one. He raises a guilty hand. And don't break your captain's jaw, even if you're Auvigne and think he's a rock-humping sadist. So we ended up in the Broken Riverbed Company. Thieves, murderers, and drunks with nowhere else to go, but the commander had a good heart. Took the contracts he believed in redemption. Tybir shakes his head ruefully. Well, they signed us up to guard a village trapped between two enemy fronts. Half of us bolted when they saw the armies coming, and the rest when the bombardment started. I saw a big man pinned beneath some rubble and nearly left him anyway before I saw his face. The captain helped me pull Auvigne out just before a slug took the top of his head off. That smile never left his face. Tybir sighs. I'd like to think he died thinking he'd turn one life around before the end. Tybir spits. It was even faster in those days, and I was even faster in those days, and Auvigne was freakish strong. We fought our way off the battlefield, trench by trench, and kept running after that. He smiles, remembering. It was a week before we realized we were working together in all but name. I'm trying to remember even what the deal is with Auvigne, with where we'd heard about them before, and it has to be with Dracogen, but I can't remember. I know that Dracogen wants Tybir. I can't remember the details of it. I know it's got to do with this, but I can't remember what it is. Tell me about how you and Auvigne became partners again. Well, we'd parted ways after the herd heist and gone freelance when our military days were over. Auvigne had a temper, and I couldn't keep my hands out of company stashes, so no reputable mercenary company would have us. So we ended up in the Broken Riverbed Company. Thieves, murderers, and drunks with nowhere else to go, but the commander had a good heart. Took the contracts he believed in redemption. Tybir shakes his head ruefully. Well, he signed us up to guard a village trapped between two enemy fronts. Half of us bolted when they saw the armies coming, and the rest when the bombardment started. I saw a big man pinned beneath some rubble and nearly left him. Anyway, no, we already talked about this. We already did this! Okay. Same thing. Same story. Okay. I just clicked on a thing. I just read it out loud, and I was reading it out loud until... See, that's the thing. The brain, different parts of the brain for reading versus interpreting what I'm Never mind. Anyway. This is the narrator's curse. I don't know if this is just me. A thing that my brain does. But I found that it wasn't long into my learning how to do readings professionally or what have you, the professional acting gig, reading stuff out loud gig, doing monologues and what have you, that it didn't take long to be able to slip into a mode where I'm just reading the thing out loud and performing it, but not paying at all any attention to what I'm reading. I have absolutely no idea. It just goes directly eye to mouth, and I don't actually think about what I'm saying or absorb it at all. I don't know if that's true of everyone who reads something to other people, if that's easier for everyone who does that, or if that's just me, with the way my particular brain chemistry is. But it's a thing that happened, as you can see. How did you and Auvigne fall in love? I think we always were, he says, rubbing his eyes. The two of us were never good at spotting the obvious. He stares at the air. This was just after Auvigne started messing with the link rings and turned a potential battlefield into a muddy pit of romantic acrobatics. Back in the early days, the mind-sharing powers of those rings were, well, they were stronger. And even though we were far from the fighting, we felt the effects. We stood there watching the magic unfold below and gradually felt each other's thoughts creeping into our heads. Tybir closes his eyes. Finally, he turns to me and says, You should have said something sooner. And he puts his hand in mine. He raises his hand, looking at his fingers. He grabbed the rings after things died down and tinkered with them over the next few months while we moved from company to company and battle to battle. I never asked why. Fixing things was part of what made him him. Tybir lets his hand fall. Then he gave me one of them. Said he'd be able to keep track of me if we got separated in a scrap and find me if I was in trouble. He grimaces. That was Auvigne too, never thinking things through. How did you... the same thing. Yeah, the thing that tripped me up was the word again at the end. Normally it's like that always in here signifies that they're going to repeat stuff, but my brain made it part of the narrative where it was like, oh, they separated and then they became partners again. And that's, my brain just did it again. How'd you realize your feelings for each other again? It's like, oh, you didn't have feelings and then you had them again. No, that's not what we're talking about. You're just asking him to repeat what he said. How did the link rings change things between you? Well, they made us closer, he says wearily. And at first there was no downside. We were new lovers with a mental link. I don't think I need to draw you a picture. He massages his knuckles. We were tough fighters on our own. With our thoughts linked, we were unstoppable. And fools enough to think that the good times would last. Tybir raises his eyes to yours. Because the endless battle was waiting for us. Our orders were to take a hill in the middle of a field of shattered time. He shivers. The first time Auvigne and I fought our way back to the top before something snapped in our gut, and we were back at the bottom 2 hours back. We charged up again, and this time one of those fireballs landed right on us. Tybir studies his bicep. My arm burst apart like rotten fruit, and Auvigne died on the spot. I felt his mind wink out inside me like someone had crushed him in their fist. He rubs his temples, then snap, back down to the bottom of the hill with Auvigne still alive. But even with him at my side, I couldn't stop mourning him. He swallows. We fought for that damned hill for what felt like lifetimes, dying and dying. Eventually one of our victories stuck, and Auvigne and I got the hell out of there. After a moment of silence, he says, Auvigne took that whole mess as a sign that it was time to create our own company. But I was still mourning for him. You and Auvigne created your own mercenary company? That's a generous statement, Tybir grunts. I was against the side-by-sides from the first, though we were better off on our own. It was one of the first signs that things were souring between us. He covers his eyes with his calloused hands. But no, Auvigne wanted to run things. To choose the fights he thought were worth fighting, and he wanted to drag me along with him. Groaning, he lets his hands fall. So he recruited his people, and I stood on the side, hating every second of it. It all went wrong in some no-name village that was burned off the map years ago, he says, looking away from you. He gave me an order I didn't like, so I didn't follow it. And he hit me. He touches the side of his face. Said if I wanted to run the side-by-side so bad, I could have it. And he walked off. He looks back at you, his eyes soft but hooded. Haven't seen him since, and I've missed him every day, if I'm being honest. You're hiding something. What is it? You're better off without him. He shouldn't have hit you. What was the order he gave you that you didn't want to follow? I mean, I kind of want to know. Couldn't tell you, he says, turning his head. And it doesn't matter now. Don't ask me this. I don't want to remember. You're hiding something. He shouldn't have hit you. Damn it, wrong tide. Tybir says, shaking his head. Don't get the wrong idea. He'd never hit me before that. Not once. And our relationship was over long before he threw a punch. You're hiding something, Tybir. What is it? He bows his head. Have mercy, eh? He says, telling all of this hasn't been easy, and I know I had a part in whatever went wrong between us. Shaking his head, he says, and what does it matter anyway? The full truth isn't going to mend things between Auvigne and me. That time is done. Alright, let's talk about something else. Tell me more about your time with Auvigne. Well, why not? What about? Let's talk about you some more. No, okay, I gotcha. How are you holding up? No, I'm well enough. Tybir breathes a ragged sigh. You've been kind to me, and, well, that's hard. It reminds me of old times. Tybir stretches. I want to ask you about the bloom. Well, I lived here for a time, though not recently. The bloom's no place for pleasure. He nods at you. Ask your questions, and I'll do my best. Tell me what you know about Dracogen. Oh, there are a lot of things. Yes, yes! Tell me things! Give me your knowledge! Tell me what you know about Dracogen. Not enough, Tybir says, looking uncomfortable. He isn't the first man to use that name, and I've heard stories that he can be in more than one place at the same time. He hisses air out the side of his mouth. He pays well, but you don't want to cross him. Ever. You just don't. What do you know about Parson Flint? He's a smiling parasite, Tybir says cheerfully. He deals in despair, and has a lot of loyal customers. Can't stand the man. Trying to remember who Parson Flint is. Tell me about Bruska. Bruska's all right for a paid neckbreaker. You know where you are with her, at least. Does her job, cares for her people, keeps her word. He snorts. And that's more than I can say for a lot of the honest commanders I've known. What do you know about the Memovera? Not much, and I like it that way, he says, grimacing. Now, if you want to know what happens to people who cross her, just listen for the screaming. What do you think of the bloom? If I'm being charitable, Tybir looks around. Everything's got the right at a chance to live, but this beast hates the people living in it. He shivers. There's a fortune to be made in here if you know what you're doing. He shakes his head, but only the hardest operators last long down here, and the bloom never misses a meal. Tell me about the Familiash. Ah, mutants, he says. Life isn't easy for them, but the stories I have from parties in Niliesh would peel your ears off. He shrugs. But they're not all shameless hedonists, more's the pity. I was once mugged by a man with three arms eyes, while his kneecap kept an eye out. With 3 arms, while his kneecap kept an eye on the alley. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Sure, tell me about these people you've never met. Eratus. Isn't he a treasure? Do anything for you, he would. Do anything for anybody if you made him think it was exciting enough. Are you talking about me? I heard you say exciting. I never stop talking about you, lad, he says, winking at you. How could I? Oh my god. It'd be someone to help handle Eratus. Oh my god. Adkina. Dangerous one, isn't she? All blades and edges. I try not to have opinions about people who slit throats for a living. Relax. No one's paid me to kill you. Yet, anyway. That's a comfort, he says, rolling his eyes. Isn't with us, but sure, I'll ask you about him. He's a charming little fellow, and pretty as slime balls of slime go. Okay, let's move on. Let's just see how everyone is doing.
Ask your questions.
I will. Surprisingly optimistic, but don't tell anyone. It'd spoil the mystique. Anything about our siblings I want to know about? Nah, I think I like something else. Yeah. Oh, gossip, she raises an eyebrow. How exciting. Did you tell me about Eratus? He's a fool, and a dangerous one at that. You make me a fool, Maddie, and dangerous. You make me both of those things. Oh, God. If only I could unmake you somehow. She thumbs the hilt of her knives. So, tell me about Tybir. I'm not saying I don't trust him, but... Actually, I am saying I don't trust him. Wise advice. I haven't trusted myself in years. He agrees with everything. I'm surprised you even know what wisdom looks like, or trust. That's all I wanted. Great.
What's on your mind?
Questions about you. I'm not surprised, he says, please. I'm incredibly interesting. What do you want to know? Do you have any questions about what Skora told us? I don't really remember it, Eratus says, chewing his lip. But in the moment before she touched my hand and everything went white and screamy, she seemed nice. You should probably follow her advice. Okay. Talking about something else. How are things between us? I couldn't be happier with you if you were another me. Eratus blinks. Questions about the people we're traveling with. Opinions? I love giving those. Right, Kina. She's kind, smart, and beautiful. Don't tell her I said that. Tybir? He is such a nice man, Eratus says, shaking his head. Before we met, I had too much money to spend. Now I barely have any at all. Lighter pockets make a happy lad, Tybir says, jingling a little. He told me that's one of his famous sayings, Eratus whispers, delighted. He told me that's one of his famous sayings. Okay. Yeah, we're done. We're done.
Happy to help.
Okay, let me also look at the stats, for it has been a while. Let me look at the stats for Tybir. Tybir is tier 1. Oh. But he's really good at persuasion. So, yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. He is a jack.
What do you need?
Are we going to use that flex skill today? I want to add it to persuasion.
Never felt better than I do right now.
I don't know if I can, but we'll see. Yes! Good, good! Okay. Now we will see if we can use that on anyone. Okay.
Happy to help.
I do kind of also want to go ahead and drink from the thing and see if that helps us at all. Oh well.
On my way.
The that green pool and get those 2 XP. Okay, we're gonna try this. Back so soon. You become to free poor Herja from her cage. This is all stuff we've heard before. I maintain my innocence. I've done nothing wrong. I don't think you're telling me everything. Mutants must have some reason to be suspicious of you. Ah, okay, here we go. Now, on my own, I can get up to 55%. What about you? 75. That's much better. Let's give that a shot. Yes! This was a good decision, bringing Tybir in. Herja studies you carefully, weighing your words against some internal barometer. At last she says, yes, it's true that I poisoned their water. I could not enter Nelesh itself, but I had heard of this bastard offshoot of their clan. I wanted to slay one of the Fahat. I took the journey from the Steadfast under considerable peril, and I brought death with me. They're not human, they're not. Surely I did right by my people. Oh yes, genocide, I forgot. That's what's happening here.
Making a note.
This is the first time that I've tried something like this. I do not regret what I did. The mutant prince wishes to see me show remorse, but he will not have the satisfaction. Okay. I'm not going to read this out loud. I'm just looking at it again so I can remember. The Angulan Knights. Our founder, Angul, thought to make a world suitable for humanity. The Council has granted me the rank of Knight Marshal for my works, and when the mutants here release me, I will return to my brethren with reports of my activities. Until then, I can only hope for the intervention of someone who hungers for justice as much as I do. Okay. Garcotto. How it lives both male and female, how it can survive outside its tank, how it captured me and imprisoned me within its spell. She waves her hand dismissively. I'm tired of talking about the mutant. Ask me something else. Okay, we're done. Yeah. I feel as though I'm not too upset about her being imprisoned, given all that. What did I make a note about? That's a question. Yeah, I haven't. And then there's opening the maws. I haven't tried all of that yet. Oh yeah, and there's convincing Delny, which we'll look into in a moment. Or I could just pay them money. I have money. Alright. So, we've done that.
All right.
Gotta be careful how it... Hello! Hello, Anino! Hi! Happy work, Lurkery. I'm going to try and figure out... actually, I'm going to talk to Garcotto again because this is new information. But it's not really betrayal, but I'm running out of words. Thanks for talking about. Oh yeah, no. It's I wanted to see this was like your big kickoff for that show, and they've been posting for folks who want to know what I'm talking about. And Nino Gaming, who's in chat right now, has been posting these images of this superhero that he played in a game last night over on Wandering DM. So I highly recommend going back and checking out the VOD of that. because it's did some very interesting things. It was very cool, and folks should take a look at that. Also, just sort of look if they can go into Twitter and find the images there, because they're also very good. They're very cool, and so it was neat finally getting to see that come to fruition. That was great. Let me go here. I have saved the game. I'm going to try talking to Garcotto and see if we're going to leave this person, leave her out to try. Herja admitted her crime to me. I see. In truth, it was not a mere confirmation of her crime that I sought. I wanted her to face her victims and admit what she did. Only then would I know if she feels anything for them, if she is truly human or not. The voice chuckles. A strange thing for a creature in a tank to be concerned with. Still, I thank you for telling me. It is interesting seeing the that's both sides. It's like, oh, these people are not human. Are you human? It is interesting. Oh yeah, the trading cards. Yeah, the trading card was interesting. I didn't get in soon enough to see quite what all of it was about, but I got the gist that folks were pledging and getting getting different things happening in the game as a result of them. But apparently there are a ton of boosters purchased and is sitting on 10+ chat in peril cards. Oh, good lord. So yeah, there's a lot of thing where they're going to be bringing in the audience into stuff. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. Let's see. Okay, we've already, everything else here we already kind of know from Garcotto. So we will see about opening the maw. Now is the time. Do we do it? Do we just go ahead and open the start the maw opening, or is that a separate phase? I wonder. Is that a separate phase? From everything else. Do I want to keep that separate from everything else before I start wrenching open the maws? There's a certain amount of trading of stuff I want to do. Yeah, the thing is, we start opening the maws, that will then cause a possible chain reaction of story to happen. So before we go there, let's just finish doing our shopping. and light chatting with people and sort of see where things go from there. If we have to convince people of things.
I'm going.
Might want to bring Tybir in to help with the Muradins. But we will see. Okay. Let's start actually by going in here and getting the Scalpel enhanced. The Indigo Tide represents justice, compromise, and the greater good. It is the tide of people who view life's difficulties from a broad, global perspective rather than an individual one. Hello, Yaksu. I'm going to give you money now. Alright, an old design, as I said, for 190 shins, the Scalpel can be made more effective. And I shall pay him. Aha! He takes both shins and Scalpel from your hands and moves to the workbench, muttering to himself. He tinkers with the blade in its housing. When he returns it to you, he says, modifications are as follows. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right, I was doing voices. He says, modifications are as follows. Increased power flows along the blade, although the energy cost and efficiency ratio remain the same, perhaps slightly improved. A sharper edge to the blade, ergonomic update for human fingers. Ah, that's good. That's good. And thoughtful. Transdimensional Scalpel is now improved. 9 transdimensional damage. Plus 3 damage per effort applied, max plus 18. Light weapon bonus, plus 15% on weapon attacks. Attacks. On hit confers cut through dimensions! The scalpel is sharp enough to cut through dimensions. On target, minus 5 resistance. On critical hits, the wielder also gains phased, converts all damage to transdimensional, and grants plus 30% evasion, plus 3 resistance, except transdimensional damage dealt to this character is 100 plus 100% active 2 rounds. What other setting can one deal transdimensional damage to someone? I'm sure there are some out there, but you don't see it that often, is what I'm saying. A small fine blade of transdimensional energy extends from the hilt of azure steel. With a twist of the hand, it can quickly be switched on and off. The scalpel's maker, Yakuza, has improved the blade, making it more effective as a weapon. It rapidly shimmers between different realities and ignores most mundane armors, though it was designed to be particularly effective when cutting the flesh of the bloom. Okay. You have stuff? I'd like to see your stuff again, because I would like to buy stuff. Okay, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do reanimation anytime soon. I'm gonna go ahead and sell that. Warding worm. No, we don't want to get rid of that. We don't want to get rid of that. Trying to figure out if there's anything we want to do away with, since we can do that now. Yeah, I feel as though he's giving us less than these things are worth. Some of these. So we will think on it. Anyway. Could I have gotten more for the for that? Maybe. Shadow Step. Plus 50% movement speed, plus 2 speed pool, plus 1 damage per effort applied. Ooh. That could be very good. That could be very good. I will think about that strongly. Wait, which one is the one I already have? Because that's a question. Yeah, Shadow Step is, it says equipped. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong side. I don't even know what I have anymore. So, Psychic Focus, plus 15% on lore mystical tasks. Plus 2 damage on esoteric, plus 2 damage on per effort applied, max ones. Okay. It's not bad. Refined Fleetfoot Moss. Hyper Irradiated Force. Ecstasy Paralyzer. Hmm. (10 mental damage. Plus 2 damage per effort applied. Max plus 10. Light weapon bonus plus 15 on weapon attacks. 15%. On hit conferred dazed. Critical hits. Yeah, I don't. Right now, I think I'm just gonna. Until things get to a point, I don't think I'm gonna buy any weapons until things get to a point that. That will be helpful. I will buy healing things. Heretic's Fork. Oh, I've already got that ability. That's okay. I'm gonna get the healing things. Like the intellect healing. Oh, he's got 3 of them. Sure, let's get all of those. That's going to get expensive. It is going to get expensive. Let's actually finish doing the other things before we start buying more healing stuff, now that I think about it.
I'm ready.
So much to consider. Gonna figure out who's giving us the best prices here. Because I'm quite sure yeah, the value of these things is more than we would otherwise be getting, so let's consider. Let's go see the Sundermen.
Ready.
I do have a thought, but we will talk to the Sundermen first. Isn't it strange to be apprenticed to your older self? These are new questions. So he told you, huh? At first I thought the old man was just telling tall tales, but I believe him now. He knew too much about me to be anybody but my older self. And how do you feel about it, knowing you're going to be swallowed by a maw and end up in another world? It terrified me for a while, but now I think it's great. I mean, not only do I know I'm going to have an amazing adventure, I know for sure I'm going to live through it just fine. I can see what's going to happen to me in the future. I know my fate, and that's incredibly comforting. As for the apprenticeship, well, who could teach me better than myself? I wish the old man would tell me more. Will I learn to fight, meet a girl? I want to know. What would happen if, hypothetically of course, I were to kill you? Kill me? The old man didn't tell me about this. Blue tide raised. Would the older version of you just disappear? Would this whole shop cease to exist? Or would it be impossible to do so? I don't know. I never thought about it before. Why would you even ask something like that? No, I'll be okay, right? Because the old man is still here. This probably happened to him already. Attack. Sorry, but how often do you get to test something like this? Let's do it. No, we're not going to do it. Just curious. Don't worry. I wouldn't actually do it. Probably. Right. I knew that. He swallows hard and edges farther away from you. Huh. I knew I'd be okay. I knew it. Maybe I'm not ready for this adventure after all. Oh, poor kid. Farewell. See you soon. Okay, can I see some of your wares, please? Yeah. Is there anything else? No, I'm just gonna see. There might have been something there. I'll figure it out. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's, a lot of them are just going to give me half price for a lot of these things. Kyurgeon Sphere. No, we want to keep that. Okay. Oh, it's an area effect thing. Yeah, let's sell that. ciphers are you carrying? We could, if we remember to use it, that'll be fine. Okay. Yeah, we can hold on to it. How long will we hold on to this buzzer? I know not. Okay. Yeah, I don't see a reason to sell any of this other stuff yet. But, do we want to buy anything? Bloom Flesh Armor. Right now I'm wearing Exuvia, which gives +1 to the intellect pool. 3 armor, 4 resistance. Bloom Flesh Armor gives 7 armor and 5 resistance, but -3 to might, -3 to speed, -15% on esoteric attacks. But at the start of each turn, a tentacle latches onto a nearby enemy, does 6 transdimensional damage to the target, heals 6 points of health to the wheeler. To the wearer. Wheeler. Blah, 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 blah. We'll think about it. Bloom Bone Shard. Blood Globe. It's a cipher. Refined Fleetfoot Moss. Heal Speed. Metabolism Flesh Bud. And then that acid. You know, the moss might be good. It's just a thing to have. I would rather finish buying everything else first, though, now that I'm thinking about it. That said, I do have a Terrible Curious.
Why not?
I got me a Terrible Curious. That might help. And that is, once again, just going ahead and going down and drinking out of that green pool just so that we'll have what we need with respect to it. Before we go forth and start dealing with other stuff. And we'll hold on to that until we sleep and then, you know. We'll figure that out. Return to game. I do want to check in case there was something. There was a conversation tree option I saw that. No, nothing. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna head down and do that. So that we have some idea there. It's gonna get weird talking to people with you see, this is gonna be the other problem, is we're going into the area where Dracogen is going to be. With Tybir. Which is another reason I saved. But I mean, it would be good to resolve stuff, would it not? Of course it would. We shall see. I don't think there's anything new there. Arson Flint. That's who that is, okay. I don't know if we'll be able to actually... Well, we'll see. This is Deception. I can get up to 60. She can get up to 55. He can get up to 0. And he can get up to 65. It's the best shot we have right now. We'll see. That worked. The power of hagglery! You have a professional manner about you, sir, and that I like. I will accept 300 shins, and not a single shin less. Moreover, Flint draws himself up, this offer is conditional upon your immediate acceptance. Walk away from it now, and it's gone for good. Done. Very good. Very good indeed. I have no idea how I made him sound before. Flint grabs your hand with both of his, shakes it vigorously, and gathers up your shins, shoving them into various pockets and purses. Then he shakes your hand again, both of them this time. And the deal is struck. I never thought I'd get that much for the boy. Your property shall be extricated from the pit momentarily. I believe his name is Cody. Now I hope I don't have to have a companion slot open, because great pleasure doing business. Of course, I think it was Rin that was insisting we free the boy. The young man takes a deep breath as though preparing himself for something. He looks directly into your eyes. His expression is not merely sober, it is resigned and emotionless, almost dead. So what now? This is what you signed up for. Do it, Cody. Do it and be free. I found a maw I need you to open in the old slave block. This is a good question. How did you become a slave? Got caught stealing. Didn't that toothy merchant tell you? I volunteered. They didn't want me to. Said I didn't have to, but they didn't. They don't know me or what I've done. Is thievery really a capital offense in Sega's Cliffs? I don't know. I volunteered to earn my freedom. What if I decided to feed you to a maw? You could die. A flicker of fear shudders across his face, but only briefly. His eyes harden once again. Then I die. That's part of the deal, Cody. You knew that coming in. Death is freedom too, sort of. Cody looks up at you without a word, his eyes as dead as before. What are you good at? He grimaces. Stealing's all I've ever known, really. He thinks for a moment and adds, I guess I'm good with my hands? Can you fight? Have you ever killed anyone? He shakes his head. Never been much of a fighter. Never killed anyone either. What's the word when you didn't mean it? Accidental death, not murder? I couldn't murder. What do you want to do? He jerks his head back, apparently surprised by the question, then he shrugs. Whatever you want, sir. I belong to you now. I mean, ideally we should just... The right thing to do here is to set this person free. Instead of feeding them to a maw. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to deal with in the old slave block anyway, beyond just trying to get them all open. There's a deep concentration there. I'll be back later. I want to set you free. I'm going to stay here. I'll be back later. I'm going to save the game. I'll just wait here then. I'm going to save the game before we continue with this. Because I'm going to go ahead and set him free. But in case we need to know anything else from him before any of the rest of this goes, you should do what you feel is best. I mean, it's kind of the point, really. We need to. It's like the whole point in Rin that Rin was making was that we should set him free. And I'm actually a little. It's unfortunate she's not here at this point because I would have liked to have seen, you know, her interaction with him. But we're gonna set him free. What? A mix of emotions you can't read washes over his face. Why? I'm a criminal. A killer. You can't set me free. A killer? I thought you were only a thief. As your master, I set you free. Get out of here. Slavery is wrong and no one should be bound by it. Go, you're free. Oh, well, right, I guess. I suppose he's right. The Bloom is not a god. What does that make him? But what will I do? I only know how to steal. Probably I'll end up in prison again. What if I found you a job? Okay. Yeah, alright. You're the boss, I guess.
I'll remember that.
Alright, and this opened up another quest. I purchased a young Bloom slave named Cody and decided to set him free. Instead of rushing off to enjoy his newfound freedom, he didn't seem to know what to do, so I offered to find him a suitable job. I keep an eye out for opportunities that might suit Cody. He's a sober and healthy young man, but he doesn't have many skills besides stealing.
Like a whisper.
Okay, but that's good. Then that's more avenues for things. And I don't have to feed him to a maw, which is always nice. Oy vey.
Fine.
And now let's drink some green fluid. Take a sip of the yellowish water. It has a greasy texture and slightly sour taste, but it quenches your thirst. You take another sip, and you start to hear whispers. They're faint at first, but they grow louder. Resolving into the chittering voices of the Bloom, they buzz in your ears, scratching at the inside of your skull. You stumble, struggling to keep your balance. Even as your senses dull, the Bloom's voices seem clearer than before. Okay. Now we're gonna leave the well alone now. That's enough. I just wanted the XP. Let me see what you have for sale. I'm high on Bloom juice and I could buy anything. Okay, maybe not anything. Still a mirror. That's a cipher. It's not bad. Clockwork strut. Panacea is also a cipher. I think I sold them that. Okay. Cool. Good to know, Alright. Should we try to work things out with Dracogen? Right now Tybir is on empty, so I may want to recharge him before we go seeing other people. I'm just going to keep saving the game over and over again. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna need to go ahead and sleep. So that we can recharge Tybir.
Lovely.
Let's go.
Okay. Ah, that's better. Now let's talk to Dracogen and see if we can talk him out of taking Tybir. Dracogen's flat eyes rove quickly across you, measuring and studying it in a glance. He smiles warmly, but his eyes remain hard. You return, and more quickly than I had anticipated. Do you have something for me, perhaps? Or perhaps I can do something for you. You said you had something to say to Tybir. Here he is. Grissler tells me the trade post is gone, devoured. Okay.
Making a note.
He turns to Tybir. Old friend, let us resume our acquaintance, shall we? How is Auvigne? Did you have a joyful reunion? Tybir's jaw drops, his face goes pale. I don't... How do you know? His eyes seek yours in mute appeal, as his tangled questions take his breath from him and leave him for once speechless. Auvigne and Dracogen? Oh, God's the ring. I really don't really have time for this. I will say nothing, because I'm curious where this is going. I haven't seen him in years. Tybir manages at last, staring at Dracogen with a mixture of fear and helpless rage. How do you know him? His fist clenches. Where is he? I really couldn't say, Dracogen says, all concerned. He found me through that ring you gave me in reparation for the incident. I had turned it off, and he came running, assuming you were dead. A gentle smile creases his face. I told him I would find you in exchange for his services. He arches an eyebrow. But then he vanished. Frankly, I had assumed that Auvigne found you and reneged on our deal. I turned it off on purpose. I was curious who would link themselves to him. Oh, hello. You're going to play this today? Oh, cool. Yeah, no, this is a fun game. Very, very deep. Lots of reading. Lots of reading. Frankly, as you know, when you found your reading. Okay, interesting. Auvigne would never do that, Tybir says hotly, then flushes. He's a man of his word, and, well, you have to admit that you do have a fearsome reputation, and Auvigne wouldn't want to cross you. Dracogen taps his chin. This does present a problem, then. Auvigne pledged a year of service to me in exchange for certain information, and, well, now he's vanished. I thought of using the paired mind link ring you gave me as collateral in order to track him down, but then realized that anything could have befallen the poor man here in the Bloom. And besides, who am I to stand between two long-lost lovers? Perhaps you might be more inclined to seek him out than I. So here. You can have your ring back. May it be useful to you. He smiles to you and bows. My apologies, but I simply had to make sure of Tybir and Auvigne. I do look forward to hearing the successful resolution of our arrangement. If he didn't run off, I wonder what happened to him, and whether anybody crossed me. Okay, you two have a good day as well, too. You two also have a good day. Thanks for stopping by. Tybir's ring. This ring is plain and tarnished. Tybir rubs it with his thumbs constantly, spinning it around his finger. Cool. That was interesting. Dracogen returned a ring. They changed the name! Dracogen returned a ring to Tybir that may help him sense where his old lover Auvigne is hiding. If I speak to Tybir, he should be able to guide me. Okay, cool. Interesting. I was not expecting that. I thought Tybir had crossed him and he just wanted him in as payback. Dracogen's voice is less patient. Return again. Surely this time you bear what you promised. He sniffs the air. Alas, you do not. The time of mere mortals is not the same scale allotted to Castoff's friends. I urge you to speed your search. Grissler tells me the trade post is gone, devoured. His voice sharpens and his gaze is intense. You have agreed to my terms. Do you now tell me you cannot fulfill your end of the bargain? I think not. You are resourceful. He frowns. I doubt the trade post is truly gone. You simply need to find another maw that will take you there. Is this Castoff weaker than his kind, or is he simply toying with me? Do I have questions for you? Dee, 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 dee. I can't remember if I asked these questions before or not. But I'm asking about the changing god. You asked to plunder a great deal of knowledge, but I suppose you'll discover these things sooner rather than later, and it would behoove me to have you think well of me. Again, the shark-like smile. But we should make your questions come one at a time. What do you know about meal event? I don't know if I did this before. Alas, I've only heard stories. I know that it was a place of refuge, a sanctuary. I once sought it out. Its name means Stone of Wonders in an ancient, largely forgotten tongue, and I thought perhaps to acquire the stone. He smiles ruefully. I did not find it, naturally, but the search allowed me to make the acquaintance of a number of your brethren. This proved fruitful on several occasions. Ah, to plunder the treasures of that place. Sadly, it will probably never be. Well, yeah, because it's not around anymore. The Sorrow got it. What can you tell me about the other cast-offs? I have had the pleasure of knowing quite a few. Some were excellent business partners and sources of information, Matkina especially, for she knew the bloom and the city above. Inifir hid from his acolytes in the bloom, but found no peace here. I have met with the Chalcedon and Paj Reckon as they sought advantage for their armies. Your kind are drawn here frequently, though they rarely stay long. Massoff was an intriguing one. He did so much more than merely find treasures. A shame what became of him. Thanks for the accolades. Would you have said the same thing if I weren't here? A smile tugs at Matkina's lips. Ah, Matkina, you know me better than that. Of course I would have. I speak my mind. You would know if you had incurred my wrath. He bows his head slightly. What can you tell me about the changing god? His mood darkens. Your sire is brilliant, but he is dishonest and untrustworthy. I dealt with him while he was in the body of one of your ill-fated brethren. He carried the amulet then, and he vowed that I should have it for my troubles when he had no further need of it. Instead, he locked it away in the Ascension beyond my reach, and then he vanished. I would have taken my vengeance, but I discovered that the body returned to me was not the mind that had left. It was through this interaction that I came to know more about your kind. But the fact remains that the changing god is a scoundrel and a cheat, a man who breaks his word as easily as breathing. Actually, I'd like to ask you about something else. Inquisitive minds are the sharpest minds, perhaps the most dull to speak with. Let's see. Tell me more about yourself. I have a great deal to say about that subject. Most of it is interesting only to me. What is it you wish to know? What do you do for a living? I am an investor. What is my business? I see you ask with your eyes, so I answer for you. I deal in strange and exotic Numenera. The bloom is a crossroads, a fruitful place, and I see much of interest. My particular clientele demands items of an interesting nature, and they pay me well for it. Well enough that I can afford to pay my finders generously and remain solvent. How long have you been here? Quite some time, and as ordinary humans measure it. I have made the bloom my base of operations for a good 100 years. I have learned to avoid the political squabbles of its residents, for the political turns personal all too quickly. Personal and bloody. He smiles slightly. The ghosts of the past are always with us, in the bloom more so. He looks away for a moment. Time changes us all. Justice comes on its own feet. It is best to let events take their own course and to steer clear of entanglements one cannot control. So you haven't been in the bloom your whole life? He looks faintly offended. By no means. I have traveled from the Clock of Kala to the Steadfast and seen the towering crystal sky fields. I have journeyed to the Forge of the Night Sky, dodging fire whites and spills of magma. I have stood upon metal moons to look down upon the earth and saw signs of life in the stars nearby. I have traversed time and space, bending light around the nebula bell, and seen myself transmuted briefly into pure thought. The bloom is but a small stop. Speak of something else. Metal moons. Eh? There is a source book out for Numenera that I need to look at. I have it, I just need to look at it. It's a very long list of things I need to look at. Into the Void, I think it's called? Into the something. It was part of the Into the Kickstarter series. Does the bloom exist in the Amberverse? Well, I mean, everything exists in the Amberverse, so yes, technically, but, you know. Though, I do know for a fact Monty Cook knows about Amber, so could be. Although, my understanding is this was created for this game specifically, so I don't know if that's also true of the programmers of this particular game. But it's interesting. They do talk about, I will say, they do talk about multiple dimensions in the Numenera setting. That's a thing, and they also, what is it? They refer to people from outside, from, you know, from space, from outer space. They refer to aliens as sometimes as extraterrestrials, and they refer to beings from other dimensions as ultra-terrestrials, which is an interesting term for it. But that's curious. It's curious. What are you doing here? I am looking for useful and interesting Numenera, my friend. The bloom is a crossroads of worlds, a place of power and pain, and a great many people from a great many places pass through here every day. I fund explorers, merchants, and other travelers who wish to bring back more for the collection, and I pay well. Alright. Who are your clients? Matt Kina shrugs at Dracogen. I'm sorry on his behalf. He doesn't know better than to ask rude questions. God's child, you're gonna get us killed. Dracogen gives her a curt smile before turning to you. He shakes his head, the smile gone from his face. They are private individuals with no desire for their identities to be made public. They are collectors. That is all I will tell you. That is all I dare tell you. Actually, I'd like to ask you about something else. Would I? I don't know. Let's see. Sure, let's talk about the people. Was it the transmutation of form is something usually distinct? Although it is useful in many settings. Yes, yes. Hello. Hello, Arberlin. Yes, I've seen this game, but not seen the game, but plan to. Yeah. This is very interesting. Spiritual successor to Planescape Torment, but it's in a completely different setting, but also one that's written by Monty Cook and And I know that Monty Cook contributed to Planescape, and that was sort of that connection was made again with the same people who made that game to make this one, and it is a lot of reading, but. It's a lot of conversation trees and a lot of figuring things out and going around from place to place. And there is some fighting. But it is interesting. I do not frequently indulge in gossip, but I see no harm in answering your questions. I'd like to talk about the Mamavra. My old compatriot. I have told you what I wish to tell you. She is a hard woman in a hard position. She rose to her rank in the time-honored tradition of the Bloom, with bloody knife in hand. She rules in much the same way, having seen some of the more legitimate governments of the world. Her way simply seems more honest. Unfortunately, the traditions of the Bloom are not finished with her yet. No, they are not. Ah, yeah. Yes, this was actually, this setting was created by Monty Cook a few years back, and I remember going to one of the panel that he did on it at DragonCon, as it was the Kickstarter was getting ready to happen. He was making the different con circuits at that time to help kick that off. And one of the first things he mentioned was that it was one of his inspirations was Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun, and I was like, okay, well, let's definitely take a look at that, because those books were a journey of spiraling madness I went on some time ago. And also the artist Mobius, whom I'm not as familiar with, but apparently does some very cool imagery. And it's very interesting to see sort of the synthesis of those things and this whole world that's like 4 billion years in the future. And somehow humans are back, and that's actually one of the mysteries, because they're not supposed to be. The Earth has evolved and changed many times. And every particle of the Earth has by now been affected in some way. It's been that long. But now humans have returned somehow. We don't know how. That's one of the mysteries of the setting. Probably won't be answered in this game. But let's see. What about this area? Why do you remain here in particular? I remain here because a great number of things and people emerge from this particular entrance into the bloom. I am equipped to deal with them, my friend, and to help with their needs, for I have traveled far and know much of the world. If they prove hostile, his smile turns dangerous. I am equipped for that, too. Perhaps you will see what I mean someday. Yay? What can you tell me about the other people in this chamber? His voice lowers conspiratorially. You heard none of this from me, of course. Let me summarize. Near the well, you'll find Skady, a small-time merchant. She seems different of late, though I cannot say why. I cannot say. In the fighting ring near her, you will see an eons-old killing construct. Waits for prey. Avoid it unless you wish to die. His gaze shifts. Near the great door to the fortress, you'll see Bruska, the Mamavra's hand and fist. A particular friend of mine, though not particularly friendly to others, just as she wants it. He gestures. Then the slaver Parson Flint, who claims to abide by the rules. Untrue, of course, if you have the shins. Of the others, my heart rests with Kian. Is that the proper term? No, I empathize with her. She is here through no fault of her own, a victim of chance, a kind spirit, and likely a dead one soon. I'd ask you about something else. Who was that automaton you were speaking to? That, my friend, was one of the decanted. They are servants of the nobles of the City of Glass, a nearly extinct people who value beauty and form. Had I known your interest, I might have suggested it speak to you. However, as I understand it, your body is artificially grown. They prefer their guests organic. He slashes his hand through the air, signifying the end of the discussion. Let us speak of something else. Nope, I'm good. Farewell. Alright. So we've done all that.
On it.
Let's see. I'm just going to do a quick check. I'm just doing a quick check to see how we're feeling, because I have to do that. For those of you just joining us, I got my second jab a couple of days ago, and it seems like the side effects weren't too bad for me. Most of them tapered off by sometime last night, although there was still some touch and go for a while. But so today I'm just sort of like, is everything alright? Am I falling apart? I have to do a quick little internal survey. How are we feeling? Okay, I can go for a bit longer. But we will see as far as the breadth of it. I want to talk to... There are some more people I want to talk to.
Here I come.
In here. I assume this waits for prey is the way that we get into the labyrinth. One way, I mean, there was another way that I killed myself at the pool, but, you know. We will do that later. Okay.
Why not?
Why not? Okay. So. I worry about going back in there. The Shrine of Chila. I think we got everything we needed to in there, but, you know. Who knows? Kyurgeon Slump. The Old Slave Block. Let's go to the Kyurgeon Slump first. The Old Slave Block... The Old Slave Block is going to be a tad dangerous.
I am the very soul of action.
That's good to know. But we will want to settle things with the Murdens. One way or another. Perhaps having Tybir there will help. We will see. Actually. I should talk to him, actually. Forgot about that. I'm supposed to talk to him. Ha ha ha. Gonna save the game before I do that. Save early, save often. That is the motto. That is the motto. Taught to us by Sierra Games in the late 1980s. Okay.
War makes villains of us all. But what Herja did.
Ah. Yes, that's important. I will admit, Leisure Suit Larry is not what I would call my personal hero, but it was amusing at the time. I'm kind of afraid to go back and play those games again, though, because I fear they have probably not aged well. But yes, that was actually in the Leisure Suit Larry games, now that I think about it. He spreads his hands as if trying to hold something foul at bay. Like looking in a mirror, isn't it? No. Enough moralizing, Tybir. We need to survive in this world. And war didn't make a villain of you? Fooled by a pretty face, were you? Of course, but not like that. My crimes were, call it negligence or self-preservation. His gaze is heavy and focused past you, but her hate and the atrocities she allowed it to excuse. No, I have much to be ashamed of, but nothing like that. This is interesting. Where do you think Auvigne is? Tybir begins touching the ring on his hand and closing his eyes, his brow wrinkles in discomfort, confusion. He's somewhere in Little Neeliash. Huh. Okay, we will swing we will swing back by there sometime soon. Are you holding up? Yes, no, that's right. Alright, let's continue on.
Yes. Now.
Fettles are status effects or conditions. They may be positive, negative, or status changes and are indicated by small colored arrows on characters. Okay. No, we gotta click on specific people if we want to get through this little area. Okay. So there's stuff we need to buy from various people. Let's not deal with the mod just yet, but we go up there and talk to Sheen. Trying to remember what we wanted from Sheen. Yeah, let's do it. Create an essence in exchange for lower prices. Then step in with me. She raises out for you as she activates her apparatus. Her hand makes contact with you. A rainbow aura settles across both of you, and you feel a connection to her mind. Fleeting images of a grand palace arching over a river, a mad flight over polluted swamplands, and great aerial predators that swoop onto unwary travelers in a grassland that seems to have no end. You feel the familiar swirl of tidal energies begin deep within you. As the machine continues to whir, you feel her insistent thoughts pushing at your mind. The tides curl around her. The shell of her mind compresses. Her body becomes a puppet to your will, dancing to your invisible strings. Oh my god. Her grasp on your arm tightens as she writhes and screams, but she lets it go on and on. Finally, with a shriek, she releases her grip on your arm and fumbles for a beaker. Oh. What are we doing? Semi-solid bloody tears spill from her eyes. Great gouts of rich and putrid scabrous tissue. She retrieves them with her bottle, scraping the lip of the bottle up her cheeks to ensure that she captures the essence completely. The apparatus winds down, and the rainbow glow fades. Sheen meets your eyes for a long moment. You bring me a familiarity, kinship in spirit. She inclines her head slightly. My wares, their cost you is my cost to buy. Gratitude. It's very strange. That was weird as hell. Now let's shop. My god. Okay. Are these prices lower? I don't know. We're buying them at cost. Essence of the Elder Unigran. Resistance energy damage. These are all ciphers. These are all ciphers. Yeah. Silver tongue. Plus 30 in deception, intimidation, persuasion. This one would come in handy. I am thinking of buying it. Choose a lower skill permanent +1 training level to that skill. That would be cool. 1,000 years of rest. Impure essence. Sarax essence. Essence of bravery. Let me check something real quick. You don't have any ciphers, do you? Shall we get you some? Shall we get you a cipher? We will get you this cipher. Black marble with the texture of smooth obsidian, marked by minute holes all over its surface. When held near one's head, the surface suddenly becomes transparent, and a droplet of some glowing red substance comes alive within it, writhing and rippling menacingly. Once placed firmly in the air, a din of whispering voices becomes audible. Each voice seems to be individually comprehensible. One's mind is filled with possibilities, and spoken words seem to leave of their own accord off the tongue, controlled and steered by the voices within this bauble. Once the conversation is over, the voices cease, and the marble becomes inert. We're buying it. And we might use it immediately. We'll see. It's good until we sleep again. And we just slept. So...
Look out below! Above! Sideways!
I'm going to head down here. And go ahead and do another save here. Sort of see if we need... yeah, that's the thing becomes, I don't know if we're going to need to persuade anyone in here of anything. I think we're just buying something, but let's see. Ah, friend, welcome back! Demeray wipes his nose and grabs her hand, pumping it furiously. Now you're retired, I hope something is wrong with you. By which I mean I hope that we get to treat you, by which I mean, of course, you're fascinating, just fascinating. To help my acquaintance regain her sight, I need to provide a test subject or pay 280 shins. Yes, indeed, though naturally you prefer the interesting test subjects. A bit of coin is always welcome. I will pay the 280 shins. He shakes his head sadly. Such a possible contribution to knowledge and learning lost. That doesn't stop him from taking your money. I hope my esteemed colleague will cheer himself, thinking of how we can advance our research through the expenditure of these funds. He elbows Auvigne. I believe our guest is waiting for something.
Making a note.
What? Oh yes, my apologies. He reaches up to the profusion of eyes on his head and selects one seemingly at random. Just want to once again re-emphasize, if you'd like to look at the corner of the screen, once again we have content warnings, including biological horror, which is coming up, I assume. With a grimace, he works it free from his head. Yep, there it is. His scarred flesh flows around and fills the hole where it resided. Simply place this eye on the recipient's face and it will do the rest of the work. Easy. What if I put it on my own face? It will likely not work. Auvigne is high, but I got more blue tide, that's good. Auvigne plucked this eye from the multitude of eyes on his head and gave it to you so that you might restore sight to Scaura. He promises it will work simply by placing it on her face. The artificial eye is so well constructed that it could pass as a real eye on cursory inspection. Yep, looks exactly like a real, ordinary human eye. Alright. I mean in the ninth world, you know. And it would scoop out a portion of your brain in the attempt. No, sadly, I cannot recommend that you try it. My thanks. Answers. Do I have more questions, or are we good? Nope, no I don't. Alright. We have the eye. I think if we talk to Artalio, there might be an option to persuade him to go and talk to the maw there, but I don't want to open any maws yet. That's coming. Not yet.
Let's go.
Soon. But not yet. Just gonna head out. Just gonna head out right there.
Coming.
Okay. Where are we quest-wise? Auvigne removed an artificial eye from his own and gave it to me, says I should place it on Scaura. Okay, we're gonna go do that.
Don't mind if I do.
Let's go.
We shall head in here. Look at all those Murdens! Anyway. We're gonna do the Scaura thing first. Before we face the Murdens. There are several things that need to be done in this area, but we're not quite there yet. There's gonna be a fight coming. I don't want to quite do it yet. I think it's probably surrounded around wherever, if there's a mall in this area. Where that would be.
I am the very soul of action.
Hello, Scaura. Her head tilts at your footfalls, her lips smack as she scents the air. Why do you return? What have you brought to poor Scaura? He returns? Few have done so. Maybe. No, best not get my hopes up. I have an eye for you! Come on. Press Auvigne's eye into her face. You know, it'd be good to just, you know, let her do it, but whatever. Sweet sight returns. I welcome it, friend Eye. Ah! The eye begins to burn into her flesh, extruding small legs that heat and twist as they burrow deeper into the meat and bone of her head. She claps her hands over the eye, instinctively scrabbling at the invasive device, and you recognize the titanic act of will it takes for her to let the eye do its work. Her trust in you must be great, or her need for vision desperate. So much pain, yet nothing compared to how I lost them. Did he speak true? I don't know, we'll find out. After what seems like an eternity of her screams and moans, Scoura pulls her hands from her disfigured face. She tilts her head up to you, and her mouth stretches into an involuntary smile of pure joy. You wave your hand in front of her face, and the eye tracks it naturally, cleanly. She throws her arms around you, sobbing with relief and happiness. I see! The lights, the shadows, the bloom! Never has this meat hell looked so wonderful. Aww. At last she collects herself, wiping away the stream of tears that poured from the single eye. She looks in amazement at the moisture on her hands and mutters, It has rebuilt the entire structure. Amazing. More investigation required. Then she glances up at you and thrusts the jar into your hands. Here! More trouble than it was worth. She turns away, gasping in delight at every newly revealed sight. Jar of Iron Wind. Made from opaque battered metal, this jar looks like a repurposed cylinder. Just above its surface, a control panel is projected into the air, displaying enigmatic diagrams and text that indicate the status of its contents. The jar thrums with energy, seeming almost alive. According to Scoura, the nano who gave you this jar, it contains a small part of the Iron Wind, dangerous nanospirits that warp and transform any matter they touch. It's a bunch of nanites.
Making a note.
XP! Okay. So see, this room over here is one that is, it looks like it is going to be incredibly challenging. And we don't want to go there just yet. Soon, but not yet. Instead, let's go visit the Murdens. And try to get their banner from them.
Notice I'm gone.
For that is the thing that we need to do, I'm remembering. Though that is the thing that will help get them all open. So I'm going to save the game before I go and say hi to them, because issues. Also, I want to use the cipher to boost Tybir's ability to convince people, because I believe that's what's called for here, if I recall correctly. Even more Murdens! Hey Tybir. It's time.
Never felt better than I do right now.
We're gonna put it to the test. Here we go. We got some heavy-duty talkery to do. Heavy-duty persuasomancy. The larger size of this Murden and the gray down that covers his head gives him a more stately and menacing look than his compatriots. He hisses at the other Murdens, and the annoying mental static fades until only his harsh static remains. The noise whines and scratches in your head. As the chief speaks, the human woman at his side translates into dull monotone. Didn't we talk to this Murden already? There was a thing where I went back and I checked on some things, so I don't know if... No, well, here it is. You free our slave. We pay for slave. You owe for loss. Attack! No. I owe you. Should be grateful to me. You would have been more trouble than it was worth. You're right. How much did you pay? You didn't buy that slave legally, did you? Parson Flint wouldn't have sold him to a Murden. The chief hisses angrily. No, says the translator. Little fat slaver would not sell to Murden, so we steal slave from merchant. That is truth. You're so smart. We give better deal. Pay us 200 shins or we kill you. Alright, here you go. The Murden chief, so primed for violence, is completely taken aback by your acceptance of his deal. He says nothing as he weighs the pile of shins that has just appeared in his downy hands. I thought that was 200. 200. Lost 350. What the hell? What the hell, game? Although, I mean, never mind. I must have Artalio's standard. A squalling blast of static, and then she says, "No, pretty cloth from Drinking Man belong here. Right of theft. If Drinking Man wanted, he steal it back. If you return it, you'll gain much respect, possibly the friendship of Artalio. More freedom to roam the bloom." Here we go. I can get to 50. How high can you get? Ah! Ha ha ha! Ha! I can get up to 100 if I spend a thing, but I mean 95 is not bad. Success. You want cloth? Replace it, but not with coin, not with things. Replace it with experience. Her monotone breaks slightly here, the emphasis of the Murden's thought pushing more strongly on her. Flight! I want to hunt in the sky. Give me experience of hunting flight, and dive on prey. Then I return cloth to Drinking Man. Hunting flight and dive on prey. Okay. 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 You want memories of flying and diving at prey, right? Okay. As the other Murdens hiss and clack, she adds, "Ha! Gee, funny. Ha! Impossible." There might be a way to get it. Okay. Let me see if that actually has been put in as a quest, or if that's just... It is not. Okay. Memories of flying and diving on one's prey. I'm sure there's a way to do it. We just have to actually get it from somewhere. From someone. Okay. Murden. Big Murden. Murden talker. Okay.
Find him. Something to do.
We will look into that.
If you want a job done right.
It's an interesting thought. Memories of flight. I'm sure there's someone we can talk to who might be able to provide that. Just not sure who. Let's see.
All right.
So we're going to head to Little Neeliash because that apparently is where Auvigne is. We do this again. Because there's a thing I want to check out first, real quick. There's a little thing.
Let's go.
Is in that temple. Actually, a thing that I should try is going in and being in communication with the bloom. An arrow? I know a young man who needs work. Is there a place for him here? Well, there we go. Sound design is good in this, isn't it? Yeah. I agree.
Making a note.
I know someone who needs work. The old woman glances about, eyes falling on the piles of smelly rags. She bends down, runs a finger along the floor, and finds it covered in grime. A caretaker, perhaps? A strong pair of arms to wield a broom and scrub our rags? I can't promise what I don't have, and by that I mean coin. But he'll have food and a place to sleep. I'll ask the bloom not to eat him. Alright. Do I have any more questions? Are we good? Alright. Yeah, I wonder what would happen if I came in here while drinking the stuff. Do we need anything from Ragman? I can't remember. Got antlers, yo. No, we got nothing to talk about. Okay. Let's go.
All right.
So that's good. We got the kid a job. That's good. At least, you know, and he'll have room and board, and then he'll have a cult to deal with. Room and board with terrifying cultists. Now that I've found something for Cody to do, I should return to him and share the good news. We shall do that. First, however, we shall return to Little Niliesh. I know, I got you folks. I've got to open some maws first. Okay.
Gods, I hate this place. A man likes to see a nice blue sky over his head, possibly with several naked lads and lasses in the way, asking if I had a nice nap and would like a drink. Not intestines and the like. Hope you're not planning a long stay.
Say no, lad. Please say no. Only as long as it takes to find the first cast-off. Oh yeah, that's why we're here. Is that why we're here? Ah, it's the rest of our short and painful lives then. Fine, fine. Not too late to move on. Where do you think
I'll remember that.
Auvigne is now? Somewhere in this place, he says, staring around Little Niliesh with a hint of desperation. Visibly steeling himself, he touches the ring with his opposing hand. Old pain, he gasps. Digging in stinking trash. Hunger. He jerks his hand away as though burned. Something's wrong. He feels different. Ah! Got it. Oh, hey! Critwitch, thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate it. Okay. I think I know. I think I know. I think perhaps I know. Something got updated. I should search Little Niliesh for someone digging through trash. We met someone digging through trash. They taught us how to dig through trash. Hi. 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 Going to...
Of course.
Yeah. Gonna save the game again before we do that, though, in case we suddenly lose Tybir when this happens. Perhaps, perhaps not. Yes, strangely enough, it's a skill. Strangely enough, digging through trash is a skill. Not an actual skill like in the game itself, but it opens up the ability to dig through piles of things that down here. Which, I mean, we always had the ability to dig through piles of things, but apparently there's a there's a very specific digging through piles that happens in the bloom that we had to learn about. So we did. We're going to go back and see that person now.
Naturally.
Hey, Aintozen, are you still weird? Aintozen doesn't welcome me with his rolling golden words this time. He merely nods in greeting. Still a touch of that hypnotic calm rolls over you. Is your maw still hungry? No, he says, shifting uncomfortably. To be honest, we're rather stuffed. A little bloated, too. Yeah. There's a reason for that. This person... just want a little bit of a reminder. Oh, that's right, the tides. That's right. We need to go back and talk to him. Okay, this is Crimper. Whom I think might be who we're looking for. Hey, child, you've returned. Have you had a chance to test your skills? Found anything else that dredges your fancy and appears like a shining, unexpected toy in your hand? Have you seen a ring like my friend is wearing? Tell me about that song box again. Okay. Try to steal his music box. No, that's fine. Have you seen a ring like my friend is wearing? Blinking, mouth working silently, Tybir proffers his hand, clearly at a loss. Yeah, Crimper says, glancing at Tybir's ring. He rummages within his filthy rags. I have one just like it. He holds it up, pinched between two claws. It's absolutely identical. A tall man dropped it in a pile of butcher's leavings a few weeks back. He chuckles, eclipsing Tybir's pained sigh. Brushed his hands off like he'd handled something awful. The filthy man mimes the motion, rubbing his hands fretfully on his greasy clothing, then cackles. That's it, Tybir says heavily. He got tired of looking for me and dumped the ring with our friend here. He offers you an unconvincing grin. It's better this way. I'm glad he's clear of this place, glad he's gone.
I'll remember that.
Gone? Crimper says, puzzled. He's not gone. I saw him this morning, waiting his turn at the shrine of Great Chila. The old man looks between the two of you pointedly, clutching his treasures close to his narrow chest. Maybe he's still there? Let's go find him. Alright, Tybir says, massaging his hand. Whenever you're ready, lad. I won't have any peace until I see him again. I know that now. He drops his hand to his side. It doesn't matter if he spits in my face and storms off. At least I know I've tried. He glances over at Auvigne's lost ring, but the old man tucks it protectively back into his rags with a suspicious scowl. Tybir's mouth quirks, but he leaves the scavenger to his treasure. Smell that song box. It's uglier than you remembered. It also seems to be dripping some kind of fluid. He beams as he squeezes it again and laughs loud as it rolls on the ground. Maybe value to someone to happen. Never part with it. Too much pleasure. Steal it. No, I don't want to steal it. Okay. Alright. It does take agility to pick through all of the trash. It's very important. A trash-picking mutant named Crimper had Auvigne's ring. The man who dropped the ring is at the shrine of Great Chila. Were we not just there?
All right.
We were. Ma! Okay. Well, We'll come back to that.
Let's go.
Don't want to go opening any maws yet. Soon, but not yet. That's the shrine.
I'm there.
There was a maw there. Maw's not there anymore. Okay. Once more, we're going to save the game before we go in there. Alright, here we go.
To action!
Actually, I should probably go and... Huh.
Yes. Now.
Yeah, there's nothing else in there that we need. I am wondering if we need to,
I'll remember that.
Ragman, jagged antlers twist from this blue-skinned mutant's temples. Permanent creases shape his face, revealing a history of scowls and grimaces. His glance slices past you to Tybir and then to the ring on Tybir's hand. He tenses. Skist, it matches the one from that tall boy. Oh boy. I had a feeling you were coming for me sooner or later, he says, lips twisting. I never should have put that ring on. His twisted hand creeps toward a crude dagger on his belt. Bullying a little girl wasn't enough for you, yeah? You want to finish the work your friend started? What? Tybir looks at his hand, then to you, confused. You turn your attention back to the mutant. We didn't bully anyone. You? He says, his hand freezing. No, not you, but your tall friend did. And I know a dozen dead-eyed killers who wouldn't have done the same. He spits on the ground. But maybe you didn't know what he did. Maybe you're just here to clean up. It's like this. Kelsey has these headaches, like I did at her age. The only thing that helped her sleep was that singing wall. He looks between your blank faces and his brows furrow. There was something buried in it. Sounded like voices humming together. His expression darkens, and a few weeks back your man came in, put her to the side, knocked a hole in the wall, and took the thing out. Huh. He scowls. She begged him to leave it, and he ignored her, and took her singing wall away. She still cries herself to sleep when she gets to sleep at all, poor girl. Huh. Interesting. A few weeks back, your man came. Where was this? Was this here? No, Tybir snarls, turning on the mutant. You're lying. Auvigne wouldn't do that. Listen to the man. Maybe he knows where Auvigne is now, or let Tybir speak. I think this time we actually are going to interrupt Tybir. But the mutant is staring at Tybir, troubled. Why wouldn't he do that? Every man fights for himself down here. I ain't lying. After I came home and found Kelsey weeping, I went after your men. Caught him alone. Maybe he saw my daughter in me because he told me he was sorry and that he took her music away because he was doing dirty work to help a friend. People have to make deals on top of deals in this place, dear God. He eyes Tybir. Not that that excuses anything. He might have been telling the truth. After I put the ring on, I heard laughing. That's why I dropped it. I couldn't stand the feel of that voice in my head. And he, what, gave you the ring as compensation? Tybir says, hands balled into fists. The mutant blinks. No, I took it off his hand before I dumped the body, he says. Put out a hand to stop Tybir. A second later, Tybir slams into your outstretched arm. No, Tybir, the Auvigne you told me about wouldn't want you to hurt him. Weren't you listening? This man's a father. Hold Tybir back. Let Tybir take his revenge. Yeah, we need to, I think the best thing here is to appeal to this. Tybir falters and casts a hateful look at you. You're right, he says, tears spill down his cheeks. Damn you. He turns from the mutant, who flees immediately. I want to have words with Dracogen, and soon. It was Dracogen laughing, the bastard knew. Ah, there it is. Ah! Okay. Alright. Yeah. Alright.
Yes. Now.
Yes. Now. I understand. There's some heavy stuff here. Some heavy stuff here we're getting into. Once again, if anyone needs to check out, feel free to do so. I totally understand. There's some heavy stuff happening in the story now. Come on, man, catch up.
Consider it done.
Do I have to talk to him? I should probably talk to him. Bringing Tybir back which was a much more angst-ridden thing than I realized it was going to be. About Auvigne. Not now, he says, his smile fading. Not until we talk to Dracogen. Okay. I'm well enough. Tybir breathes a ragged sigh. Alright. That's the same response he's had before. You sure? Let's have words with Dracogen first. Okay. Alright, let's go.
You won't notice I'm gone.
Don't say that.
Like a whisper.
Stop that! Stop talking about that. Stop talking about killing people! Okay, according to records kept by Casmine and Mimian, the changing god rarely remains in a body for more than a decade or two before moving on. Okay.
Like a whisper.
Jeez. We already saved right there, so we're good. First off, let's get Cody to his job. I got you a job at the Shrine of Chile. You can start immediately.
Making a note.
Oh, the shrine? Really? All right, well, thank you. He walks away a little uncertain, but lighter on his feet than when you met him. I'm not much for religion, especially for this place. But he stuck his neck out for me. I'll do it for him. There we go. No, he might be able to help us again later, perhaps.
All right.
Okay, let's do this. Decanted. Oh, you're right there. What seizes your eye first about this humanoid automaton is not the cunning construction of its slender limbs or the gleaming white armor that covers its chassis. It is instead the frozen human head that peers out from a frost-covered dome in the construct's chest. The head examines you carefully from head to toe. You feel a subtle warmth. The scanners inside the machine assess you. Why did I not notice this before? The voice that squawks through a grill mounted atop the construct's head is flat and expressionless. Greetings. We are called the Decanted. We are here representing buyers from our society. Our clients greatly value beauty and physical fitness. A distorted howl cuts its speech short. Apologies, maintenance for this vessel has not been optimal in recent times. Rectification to be undertaken soon. To summarize, we seek beautiful creatures to honor them. This... What the hell? Recently, a young slave was purchased from this pit. Our attempt to acquire it failed. It would have served as an excellent example of the style our clients seek, strong and muscled, but not bulky, athletic and conditioned. It eyes you. Similar to you, but undamaged. Oh, great, thanks. Oh, hi, Anna. Hey. we're doing a thing. Way too many things. This deep, horrifying story we're getting into here. On our final arc of Torment, Tides of Numenera. Similar to you, but undamaged and naturally grown. You show signs of artificial growth, or we would offer you this honor. Oh, great, thank you. Oh, we got another quest. Great. Its grill squawks again with a blast of noise. Apologies. It makes a small adjustment. We are here that we might take these subjects to the Optero suite. We offer a life of luxury, privilege, and pleasure for everybody. Except... It pauses. We offer great rewards. We require 3 individuals with aesthetically pleasing bodies. Perhaps we can be of mutual assistance. Tell me about yourself. The grill buzzes out its flat voice again. We do not have a personal appellation you would understand. Your people commonly refer to ours as decanted. We achieve long life through these forms you see. Our heads separated and preserved. We need not retain our original forms to preserve the knowledge we carry. We can shed these bodies, but live on. This one has lived hundreds of years, though its original body is long since dust. That sounds oddly familiar. She looks down at her hands. I have to say that I prefer our sire's method, though both should be swallowed by the bloom, in my opinion. The creature looks at her oddly, assessing her again. Face too thin, eyes darkened artificially. No matter, not within aesthetic standards. Skin mutable, unacceptable. It resumes its self-description. We admire beauty in all its forms and seek to preserve it. We do this as a service to ourselves and as our duty to the world so that future generations can learn to appreciate beauty as we do. I am very concerned. I am very concerned about this. Why wouldn't you simply have bought Cody direct? Couldn't you have bought Cody directly? The auctioneer refuses our coins. He will not sell to us. Cody, the young man in the pit, is no longer available. The grill buzzes angrily and sparks again. Regrettable, such a transaction would have been mutually beneficial. Perhaps other specimens might be found here. Our clients will pay well. Are you my companion, suitable recruits? No. The Murdens in the old slave block captured an attractive woman. They've modified her brain, though. You know, I'm tempted, actually, to tell them that because... I mean... Yeah, she's basically a husk at this point. And... I hate to say this, because the Murdens are just going to eventually overwhelm her last brain cell and throw her away. I think, if I remember correctly. And these folks, at least... This is a terrible decision.
I'll remember that.
Regrettably, our form has not been optimized for combat operations. Although the specimen sounds like a fascinating find, the presence of many Murdens makes survival unlikely. We are unwilling to investigate until the Murdens have dispersed. Okay. Are any of my companions suitable? No, I'm not going to ask them that. Farewell. Yeah, that was fun. Let me check the quest log again. So, Broken Hearts has been updated. Auvigne, Tybir's former lover, is dead. Tybir wants to find out what Dracogen knew about this. Preservation of beauty. A being known as the Decanted is looking for humans with aesthetically pleasing bodies. It says it will take these humans to a place called the Optero Suite for a life of luxury and privilege. In return for my assistance in finding suitable candidates, it is offered a handsome reward. Find and recruit people for the Decanted's utopian society. This is a terrible / great decision. Yeah, I know, right? I need to go in a few minutes, but we will keep this up a little bit longer. We got to talk to Dracogen to see what happens. The Decanted needs to recruit 3 people to fulfill its quota. I should make sure these recruits have attractive bodies. The Decanted doesn't seem concerned with any other trait. Why are we worried about doing this? When I find potential recruits, I should inform the Decanted, who is standing near the slave auction in the Mamavra's courtyard. The Murdens in the old slave block have lobotomized an attractive young woman to serve as a translator of sorts. While her fate is lamentable, she may be of interest to the Decanted. I met a young noble named Boras who might be of interest to the Decanted. I saw him hanging around Kyurgen's slump, begging for money from strangers. Okay. Urja, the warrior woman I met in Little Niliesh, is tall and formidable. She might be an excellent recruit for the Decanted. The only problem is she's currently a prisoner of Garcotto, the mutant prince. And I already told Garcotto she's guilty. I will no longer be able to recruit Cody for the Decanted. The Decanted expressed interest in the Murden's translator, but it won't be able to retrieve her until the Murdens are gone. Okay. Don't know if that's going to happen, but... Right. Okay. One more time before we talk to this guy. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Alright. Let us see. Let us see. Just checking on some things over here. Okay. Let's do it. We'll go ahead and do this, and then that'll probably be it for today. Let's see what we got. Dracogen's voice is less patient. You return again. Surely this time you bear what you promised. He sniffs the air. Alas, you do not. The time of mere mortals is not the same scale allotted to Castoff's friend. I urge you to speed your search. Tybir, you said you had something to discuss with Dracogen.
Making a note.
XP! I want to talk about what you did to Auvigne, you worthless piece of... What I did, Tybir, really? Dracogen looks to you. Did Tybir not tell you how he and I came to be acquainted? Then let me. He crosses his arms. Tybir was a mercenary for sale to the highest bidder. He came to the Bloom to serve as a lackey to whomever would pay him for the most in coin, drink, or flesh. An employer approached him about retrieving an artifact from a guarded vault. He took the job. So let him continue. Tybir, I'm not interested in hearing this. I mean, yeah, getting Tybir's information on this also is probably good. I also want to let him continue. Let him continue. Blue Tide, yes. Your gallant friend helped pacify the guards, and he watched as his compatriots slaughtered the helpless men. It was then they revealed the vault was mine. Wisely, Tybir quit the job and threw himself on my mercy, naming all his conspirators. Ah. I took justice on them, and gave their children a lifetime of nightmares. But from Tybir I asked only a year of his service, or his mind-link ring, and a favor to be named. He gave me the ring and fled. I did not pursue him. I am a man of my word. Blue Tide. When his lover came, seeking answers about the ring, he found me instead. Auvigne agreed to serve in my employ for a year in exchange for the truth of Tybir's whereabouts. I made him my toy. He did work that Tybir would shrink at, in some of the darkest, most dangerous depths of the bloom. And in all this time, Tybir never returned. Tybir knew what he sacrificed when he gave me the ring. He knew that Auvigne would come, but he gave up the ring without a second thought. At any time, he might have come to me to request its return. He never did. In so doing, he knowingly condemned his lover to his fate in the bloom. Tybir swallows hard, shaking his head, not in negation, but in shock. He does not interrupt. I didn't know he would come. I didn't. Not for certain. Misconnections. As for you, Tybir, the favor to be named later is this. I want you to recall the many ways you could have saved Auvigne, to think of how he might have died, to reflect on the depths of his devotion to you, and shallowness of yours to him. This is the kind of man you travel with, Castoff. Know his true character. Best of luck to both of you. He waves his hand, dismissing you. An easy favor, perhaps, but the boy Auvigne more than compensated. Ah! Now go.
Ruined him. I'm the one killed Auvigne, not that fool at the shrine.
Yep. Well, no, you didn't actually kill him. It was the guy at the shrine, but... Yeah, I can see why you feel as though you did. I mean, you couldn't have known he was coming. He was coming after you. Your relationship didn't end well. You ended it. There was no way you could have known. At the same time, though, I get it. I totally get it. Self-blame. I know the self-blame engine well. Tears streaked down Tybir's cheeks, unheeded. Here's the truth about what separated us. I was afraid to lose him, so I broke his heart, cheated on him, and used my ring to make sure he knew. And it didn't work. He still loved me, and he didn't understand why I was pushing him away. So I waited until he was away on a supply run, and turned our mercenaries on the village Auvigne had sworn to protect. He chuckles through his tears. That did it. One look at the soldiers shoving children into the street, and Auvigne bashed me in the jaw and said we were done. Yeah. Yep. He covers his face with his hands. You lied to me! He shouldn't have hit you. You were afraid to lose him, so you pushed him away? I loved him, he says, gripping his head with bloodless fingers. More than I loved myself, and I'd felt him die dozens of times in the endless battle. I wanted him out of my head, understand? I wanted him gone, so that when death took him for the last time, I wouldn't feel it. His sigh is a soft, ragged thing. Still, I wish I'd run after him like I wanted. But I was scared, and I ran into the bloom instead. And then I gave up the ring to save myself from Dracogen's revenge, he continues, his hands shaking. Of course I did. And I convinced myself Auvigne wouldn't suffer because of it. But he did, he says, clawing the tears from his eyes. I knew he was here, and I was afraid to face him. And look what my beautiful, honest lad came to in my absence, trying to save me. I made him like me. I'm sick of the lies. It's my fault, and that's the plain truth. You're right. He died when you could have saved him. What now? That's so bad. You aren't responsible for Auvigne's decisions. I will say that. Damn it, wrong tides. Maybe not, he says, blotting his cheeks on his arm, but he's dead anyway. And I had a part in that, like it or not. He straightens, adjusting his clothing, and gives you a weary smile. Sometimes you feel like a day should end when you've borne too much, but it doesn't, and you have to keep going, don't you? Tybir takes a deep breath. Give me some time to myself, will you? I've had enough of talk for now, being honest. Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, hiding there on the other side of that, whatever it is. Okay. Well, that was a lot. That was quite a lot. That was quite a lot. I'm going to go ahead and save, and then we're going to get going. I need to dive off pretty soon now. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. And then I believe we are good. There we go. Okay. All right. And over to me. Hey. So, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. It's fun getting to finally get through the last arc of this. It's very cool seeing all the stories unfold and come to their various ends for the various companions and for everything. Very interested to see how it goes. But in the meantime, things happening on this channel. What am I doing? On Tuesday nights, once again, I am running Urban Shadows. The campaign is called Lex Talionis, and it's set in present-day Rome, Italy. That's happening on Tuesday evenings. On Wednesdays, by and large, usually in the afternoons, I play Cities Skylines, where I go mad building stuff. We're putting in a metro system. And then, of course, we do this on Fridays, typically. And so that's that. I must say, holding up remarkably well following the shot, so that's good. The second shot, I think it's going to be okay. But folks, I need to dive off, so I thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden.